Okay, so we're working on a pastel here, and it's actually a diptych. So this is the Eames chair portion of the diptych, and this is the still life portion, which is it's actually the table here in the studio with stuff on it. The fan, you can see all that over there. There's the real ones. Here's the drawn ones. And so when you're working with pastel, kind of like painting, same way as oil painting, what you want to do is you want to, like when you're laying in kind of your underpainting, your under pastel, you want to work from the back to the front. So as you can see, I've already done a little bit here with the gray and the blue. I'm going to do a white background. As you can see, like the white background behind the Eames chair. So a kind of white background. What I do to get this really opaque surface so that you don't have, like if you do it just with pastel traditionally, you get that wonderful, I mean, it's great. You get this wonderful chalky line, and I'm going to work on doing that more later, when you can smooth it out and blend the colors into one another and all that great stuff. But what I like to do when I'm doing the underpainting to begin with is I'll work with, like for example, this is white, and what I'll do is I want to use this stuff, which is the Spectrafix Fixative, which is the same stuff I spray on everything, to fix it, so that they're not quite so fragile. But it also works really well as a medium, so I'll like dip the, get in here so you can see. So I'll pour in a little bunch in this little thing, and this little container, and dip the white in, and then just start doing this. And you can see, and I keep repeating the process, wet it, dip it, wet it, dip it. And you get this really fast, opaque surface, very different from this, so you can just cover it up like that. And it also creates a great texture that you can work with when you go in with the dry pastel on top of it. Like this is, like for here, this is kind of dry, and you can see you can do some cool, look at that, like nice texture things on top if you want to. You can blend it in, lighten the gray up that way. But I like to get a good opaque surface, if I'm trying to cover up a lot of the paper. Sometimes, depending on the effect you're trying to achieve, you do want to cover up the paper, like the way I do. You want it to be opaque. Sometimes you might want it to be like this, and you want to let the color of the paper come through. Papers come in browns and they come in blues. I usually use the browns and blues, but they come in grays and all sorts of different colors that you can use, and it's a different effect that you might want. Normally when I'm doing landscapes, I'll use the blue paper because the natural blue of the light and the sky will come out underneath, and it makes it a little easier. It doesn't alter the colors of the pastels so much. But for interior scenes or still lifes or things like this, I really like to use the brown toned paper. I've been using it ever since I was a student at Art Center a million years ago. So anyway, so that's how I do it. Also, like if you're doing a really big area and you don't want to keep doing this dipping thing, you can just I usually put the fixative in this little bottle, and I'll just I'll literally, instead of just dipping, going, I'll just spray some down here like this, right? Just spray it on top of the surface like that, and then just go in and wham, and then I don't have to dip it quite so much. I can cover a larger area faster. That only really works, honestly, for areas like this, that are really big, where you're just trying to cover them with a single color. It'll help a little bit when I'm doing the chair because it's basically just blacks and dark grays. But when I'm working on that guy over there, when I'm working on the table with the fan and the electrical cord and the headphones, as you can see, it's right here in front of me. There's a lot of different colors, a lot of different detail areas, and this is not going to work so well for me. But for now, just in general, I usually use this technique to get the it's like a pastel version of an underpainting if you were making an oil painting. You want to set up some basic value contrasts, fix your lights and darks and not worry too much about the details and how accurate the color is, and go for it. So I also want to accent a little bit of the up here, this top part where the sun is bouncing off it. So instead of white, I'm going to use this, excuse me, use this like kind of really light yellow color. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that might be the right, it might not be light enough, but blow the extra over. What I might want to do is, go in later and put some yellow in on top of that, like yellow, like this kind of yellow. So we'll try that, see what happens there. There we go. Now see, that actually makes it a little bit darker. I don't know how that's gonna play, so maybe we'll stop there. Put in a little more white to lighten it up and see how it dries. An important thing to remember is when you are doing, if you see this blue here, okay, that's the blue I want, it's dry. Just be aware that when you're doing these colors, this is the blue originally, and when you do this, and I'm just gonna do it in a little area that I'm gonna cover up anyway, you'll see here, okay, that the blue, when you put it down and it's wet, like, look how much darker it is when it's still wet than when it's dry. So just take that into consideration. Don't freak out if you're picking this pastel because it's a light blue and you're like, shit, it's like turned this dark blue. Don't worry, once it dries and evaporates, it will turn from this blue into this blue and you'll get the color that you want. So that's kind of a quick demo on how to do underpainting or underpasteling. Using the fixative technique, it really holds the pastel really well, and that's how you get started.